If you feel like you have that core connection, if you feel strong, if you've been planking for years and years and years before you got pregnant, you'll typically be able to feel when it's okay to continue and when you might want to scale back. Hi everybody, Sarah Ann here from MomTrainer.com. So recently I was asked a question about when we should stop doing any kind of core exercises during pregnancy, your traditional planks, sit-ups, crunches, any deep rotation exercises. And the general guidelines for that is about 20 weeks. When baby is out of the pelvis in your second trimester, traditionally that is like the blanket answer of when you should stop doing all those things. However, with all prenatal and with all fitness stuff in general, there's always those gray areas. So for example, for my first pregnancy, I kind of just stopped because it didn't feel good. With my second pregnancy, I stopped at 20 weeks. With my second pregnancy, I had 2 under 2. So things were still recovering when I got pregnant again. So I stopped feeling that connection in my core like right away. So I started modifying pretty quickly, also knowing the path that I would have to recover because I was still recovering from my first pregnancy, body stretching and moving and doing all the things that a pregnant body should. And just kind of knowing it was going to take a little bit longer to recover, I started scaling back a lot sooner because again, things weren't healed. For my third pregnancy, I was doing all that stuff up until the end, basically, because I had the strength back, I had fully recovered, and I felt completely fine doing these things. So where would we say to stop and where would we say for you personally is when you start to feel that like connection in your core going away. So for example, if you're holding a plank and you're able to like feel your abs working in that plank, continue as long as you're not having that like extreme coning or doming. So like if you're looking down and you see like a sharp point versus that beautiful round belly. So if this is like your abs when you're looking down, this would be like an example of what we would want to see. Something like an extreme coning, if you are concerned about diastasis recti, where it's just like the abs kind of stretching, and that would be like your guts kind of poking through, I would scale back if that's a concern. Again, diastasis recti, the stretching of the linea alba to let your baby grow is a perfectly natural thing that happens in most pregnancies, like all pregnancies. That tissue expands, it slowly contracts back. The ways that we can kind of prevent issues from diastasis recti, like pelvic organ prolapse and that like traditional pooch look, which maybe some of us want to avoid, and any kind of like back pain, those are symptoms from a diastasis that we would want to prevent. So during pregnancy, if you feel like you have that core connection, if you feel strong, if you've been planking for years and years and years before you got pregnant, you'll typically be able to feel when it's okay to continue and when you might want to scale back by dropping to the knees, by going to an incline bench. I'd like plenty of different ways to modify that throughout pregnancy. I generally would say like full sit-ups, crunches. There's lots of other exercises that you can do when you're pregnant. So if we can avoid doing those kind of like all together after 10 weeks, great. Because again, I think with all of these things, like should the core be like a main focus of your training during pregnancy? I don't know. I would argue that you would want to strengthen your pelvic floor, you want to strengthen your glutes, you want to focus on your breathing, those gentle core exercises that we do for the transverse abdominis, all those things, huge benefit. Planking, crunching, deep rotations, I don't know that we need to be doing them. But if you could argue probably 10 different reasons why we should. So bodies are bodies, everybody is different. Your body's different, you live in it, I don't. You know what is best to do for yourself. And if you don't, just kind of go to those guidelines of like, okay, am I seeing an extreme coning? Do I feel like I can control this movement? Am I getting really shaky and wobbly in it? Then maybe it's time to do something else. But generally, 20 weeks, around then, again, like I mentioned, deep rotating. So like, going side to side with like a kettlebell, we wouldn't recommend that at that point. But I do think it's really important that you rotate, think coming from the bra strap versus the deep core. That will feel a lot more comfortable and take a lot of the strain off, because around about 20 weeks, your round ligaments are going to stretch. That's not going to feel comfortable anyway. However, if this is your second or third pregnancy or 15th and you have all these kids to take care of and you got to pick up a stroller and put it in the car, you're going to rotate. So exercises like the wood chop or the 90-90 stretch or wipers or all those different modifications are a great way to train to do that in real life. So we are rotating, but you're using your upper body, you're getting your glutes involved. We're using our breath mechanics to prevent your core from like overstretching or from causing any more pain. Again, that could happen, doesn't mean that it will happen. But anytime you have like a sharp pain, we want to kind of generally back off from the core, make sure we're stretching a lot more, making sure that you are experiencing no pain, because we don't want any of that. So if any of these exercises like deep rotations, planks, crunches, if they don't feel good, just stop doing them. And that's kind of generally how I teach most of my fitness. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. There's a million different exercises that you can do. So examples of exercises that are really beneficial to pregnancy and especially with postpartum recovery. You can do all your quadruped stuff, so stuff on all fours, reaching opposite arms out. Balancing exercises are so incredibly beneficial. Start that from day one, even if you're brushing your teeth and standing on one leg. The more we can kind of change the proprioception, especially while our center of gravity shifts as baby grows and your pelvis starts to kind of get a little wobbly, to accommodate that. And again, just the general mechanics of pregnancy. Anytime we can do balance exercises, it's great for your core. Anytime you can do your deep breathing exercises, those pelvic floor breathing, the piston breathing that Julie Wiebe talks about, all the diastasis work when it comes to using your diaphragm and contracting your transverse abdominis and helping your pelvic floor and your transverse work together. All of that stuff are like so chef's kiss. Do them prenatal, postpartum, 10 years from now. Really, really helpful just to kind of maintain the alignment of your spine. Make sure that we're breathing correctly so we're not getting injured when we're like lifting a heavy diaper box or picking up a bag of groceries or an ornery toddler. All these things are really helpful to do in pregnancy, maybe a little bit better than planks and crunches. So anyway, that is a more detailed answer for the person who asked this question. Thank you so much for asking it. If you have any questions about prenatal or postpartum stuff, feel free to DM me. You can also leave them on my website. It's MomTrainer.com/contact. There's plenty of different ways for you to reach out to me there. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please pass it on to someone who it might be also helpful for. Click below, leave a comment too if you found this helpful. That's it for now. Thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.